So hi, hello, and welcome again. Microbehunter here. I'm Oliver, and today again is some traditional microbe hunting. Look at this bread here. It's the most disgusting bread that I've seen in my whole life. It's horrible. Yeah, and I'm gonna throw it out, obviously. But before I do that, I want to put it under the microscope as well, because I want to actually have a look at some of the fungi, maybe also bacteria that are growing on here. How did this even happen? Well, I was on holiday for a week, and I simply forgot it yeah, in my cupboard, and this is how it looks like. Eating this stuff is certainly going to cause severe health problems. I'm going to put it mildly. It might even kill you, honestly, because it's full of mycotoxins. These are essentially poisons that the fungi and the mold produces. Some of those mycotoxins can also be cancer causing, and not only that, even if I don't eat it, I gotta be careful not to inhale the spores here, right? Yeah. So, but then again, it's an interesting thing to look at under the microscope. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use a toothpick, and I'm going to take some of the mold off, and I'm going to make a microscope slide to have a closer look. So let's start off by first putting a little bit of water on a microscope slide. So here we go, number one, and over here, number two, and there'll be enough. And I'm going to now take a toothpick, and let's see if we're able. Yeah, that's more than enough. I'm going to also show it to you here. Let's suspend some of the stuff here in the water. And I'm going to discard this, of course. And let's take a small sample from over here as well. Look, this is a slimy, and this should be enough. Let's have a look now. Yeah, so let's add a cover glass here. Ooh, it doesn't even. So here we go. Yeah. And here we go. So, and it goes under the microscope. Yeah, so this is the one that I've taken from the slimy part of the bread. All of those tiny things that you see floating around here, highly concentrated suspension of bacteria. And those things in chain here, these are way too large for bacteria. I mean, these are definitely eukaryotes, and maybe yeasts that are growing in a chain. In any case, you can see that this is certainly not a healthy, not a healthy specimen here. And I probably would say that even the concentration is a little bit too high to properly see them. But now let's have a look at the other one. The other one looks a little bit different. We also see these here, those structures. They actually, these are actually spores, okay? And those spores, they spread over the air, and they can actually cause those allergic problems. So you see that on different parts of the bread, there are different microorganisms that you're able to find. Yeah, the other one looks quite a bit different. I'm still able to see here in the background those tiny dots. Many of them might be bacteria, but those things here, they appear to be actually spores, because I've taken the sample from this gray fuzzy part, and usually these are the spores, spore-producing parts of a fungus. And these spores are the things that actually spread through the air. And very often they are actually, yeah, separate from each other, but sometimes they're also clumped together. They do look a little bit in the size like the one where I thought that they might be yeasts, but then again, I'm not quite sure. Okay. Yeah, I've now redone the specimen again with much less material. Now we're actually able to see the bacteria much better. And then again, those larger, rounder structures here, which might be actually either yeast or also spores. In any case, if you look carefully, you can see all different sorts of bacteria with different sizes and shapes. And some of them seem to be moving around and wiggling around like some of them over here. Yeah. And this one, for example, is kind of moving. And the streaming motion that you see here, this is because the liquid now spreads beneath the cover glass, and this causes the liquid to flow a little bit until it stabilizes again. And this is how it looks like under my stereo microscope. Look, it's yeah, it all turned wet. And the reason is that when microorganisms, when they start to respire food, then they create water as an end product. Yeah, and all of those gray areas here, this is where I took one of the samples. This is where I found all of the spores. So it looks pretty horrible here. So it is a whole ecosystem of different fungi and bacteria, and also this slimy stuff here. It's a very typical sign of bacterial growth. While fungi, they look more fuzzy, and bacteria, not all of bacteria look slimy. Obviously, there are also those that look fuzzy, but generally speaking, if you see something slimy like this, then these are most likely bacteria. Also over here, look at this. This is horrible. Yeah, but still, this is still some a certain degree of fascination I cannot deny. Yeah. In any case, the toxins that those microorganisms produce, of course, are absolutely devastating to one's health. No need to say that. I mean, there are, of course, certain fungi that essentially are edible, obviously. Also molds that are edible. They're used in cheeses, for example. And what they do is they are actually fermenting the food in a way that gives the food its specific taste, and also used in food preservation. And those edible fungi, the edible molds, they do not produce those poisonous toxins. But over here, I don't know how many, I don't even want to know how many different types of molds and bacteria can be found over here. Look, there seems to be something else growing over here. Maybe some fruiting bodies of fungi. Yeah, who knows? Yeah, look, also this one over here. Yeah, so a very interesting ecosystem of countless different microorganisms. So of course I'm gonna throw the whole thing now away, because I do not like to have this sitting here on my table. Yeah, and from my side, it's pretty much all I want to share with you today. Even discussing things can be interesting at times. I wish you all the best. Happy microbe hunting as always, and hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.